Welcome back to our discussion about networks. Okay, on these next two following videos we are going to talk about a couple of things that are tightly related. Okay, have you noticed that when we use the internet we don't use IP addresses, right? Instead we use names like www.maristasbilbao.com or google.com or bing.com. Okay, those are domain names. Okay, in order to use networks more easily, we don't directly use IP addresses. Okay, companies can buy names called domain names and can configure them in order to be linked to an IP address. Right? In this way, instead of writing IP addresses, which are difficult to remember, we can write domain names, okay, which are easier to remember. Okay, so when we write a domain name, we are indirectly referring to an IP address. Okay, here I've got an open browser, and I'm going to write. Okay, and not that one. I'm going to write this IP address. Okay, if I write this, what happens? I go to Google, right? Why? Because that IP address, that number, is linked to the domain name www.google.es. Okay, so instead of using IP addresses, we can indirectly refer to them by using domain names. Okay, so we are going to learn on this video and on the next one what are domain names and how can we configure them, okay, in order to link them to computers, okay, to IP addresses. So let's go with it. In order to understand this, let's see a couple of examples. Okay, imagine that you want to go to our school's webpage, which is www.maristasbilbao.com. Okay, this name is linked to a computer, okay, that contains our web page, right? When the school bought this domain, okay, when we hired this domain, we chose this, right? We chose the domain maristasbilbao.com. Okay, this is comprised of a top level domain, right, which is the .com. Okay, that last part is called the top level domain, and then a second level domain, which on our case was Maristasbilbao. Okay, so the school bought maristasbilbao.com domain, and when you buy a domain, you can use as many subdomains, okay, as you want. Okay, so for example, the school has www.maristasbilbao.com as a subdomain linked to the web page, another one called aula.maristasbilbao.com linked to the virtual classroom, to our Moodle, correo.maristasbilbao.com linked to our email. Okay, so you buy, okay, a second level domain and a top level domain, right? And once you buy it, okay, once you buy this part, you can use as many subdomains as you want. The part on the right, okay, we have said that it is called the top level domain, right, or TLD. There is an organization called ICANN, okay, which is the one which manages them and says which can be used and which cannot. Okay, we cannot invent a top level domain. It is the ICANN organization who manages the existing ones. Okay, and there are three different types: the generic ones, the territorial ones, and the maintained by third parties. Right? The generic top level domains are the most used. Okay, they are supposed to be used to categorize or classify the web pages, right, that they contain. But that is just a proposal. Okay, they can be used as you want, right? For example, you get .biz, which is supposed to be used by businesses, right? .com for companies, .info for pages that provide information, .org for organizations, right? But that's just a proposal. Okay, here you get a link, okay, where you can watch a list with the different generic top level domains. Apart from them, almost every country in the world
has its own top level domain, okay, that is called a territorial top level domain. For example, Spain has .s, Italy.it, France.fr, etc. Okay, they have 2 letters, okay, and each country is the one who says who can or cannot register one of those domains. Okay, for example, if you want to buy a .s domain, you must be a person or company living or located in Spain, right? You can see a list of territorial top-level domains here. And last one, okay, in 2013 I can authorize some companies and organizations to manage some top-level domains, right? These companies and organizations pay to ICANN in order to get the permission to maintain those top-level domains, okay, and they can hire second-level domains that use these top-level domains to companies who want to buy them, okay. For example, are .bike, .tienda, .photo, okay, and you can see a list here, right? So these are the top-level domain, right? Remember, when we buy a domain, when we hire a domain, we must choose the top-level domain that we want to use and the second-level domain that we want to use. And now that we know what a domain is, how can we buy a domain? Okay, we have to use the services of companies called registrars, right? We are going to see 3 examples, okay, 3 different registrars. I have no affiliation with them, okay, they don't pay me for advertisement, but in case they want, okay, I've got no problem, you can contact me, right? Anyway, for example, one of these companies is Domiteca, okay, here I can search, okay, for a domain. Another one is Nominalia, okay, which they have here registrar dominios, okay, an option to register a domain, and another one could be this one, Arsis, okay, which also have an option to register a domain, okay. Let's use this one, the second one, Nominalia. Right, so how do we buy a domain? Okay, the first thing that we have to do is we have to check if that domain is free or not. Okay, I'm going to try to buy this domain, jorgeisgreat.com, right? Remember, I have to choose my top level domain and my second level domain. And I am going to see whether it is free or not. Okay, if someone else has already bought it, I cannot buy it, right? So, Jorge is great, okay. It is free, okay, it tells me that the domain is free, so I can buy it, I can register it, okay. And in case that I want to think about some other ones, okay, it tells me that jorgeisgreat.s is also free, jorgeisgreat.cat is also free, okay, and I can also buy them, okay. Let's think, okay, let's imagine that I really want to buy this, okay, it is selected, okay, I continue. Okay, it tells me if I want to add some other service to my domain. Okay, let's imagine that I don't want to. I continue. Okay, and it tells me that, okay, for if I want to buy it for 10 years, okay, this would be my price. I can check. Okay, no, I just want to buy it for 1 year. So this would be the price, right? When you buy a domain, you don't really buy it, okay? What you are doing is you are hiring it. So you say, okay, I want to hire it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? When the time expires, okay, some other one, okay, you can renew your registration, or if you don't renew it, some other people, okay, someone else would be able to buy this domain, okay, and use it instead of you, okay. So this is how we buy a domain. And what happens if a domain is already hired? Okay, we can usually know the information about who bought or hired that domain. Imagine that I want to buy our school's domain, maristasbilbao.com. I will look for it, okay, I will try to buy it, and it tells me that it is not available, right? But here, look, WHOIS. This means that I can take a look at the WHOIS register, right? The WHOIS register is the information that the person who bought the domain provided in order to be able to buy it, right? So it can be identified. If I click here, I can see, okay, that maristasbilbao.com was registered with registrar Enom Inc. Okay, some information. I can see the expiration date, for example, and the creation date, right? But I don't see many or much information here. Okay, but if I go to this registrar's website, okay, so I'm going to take a look for Enom Inc. Okay, this one. Okay. And here, if I take a look for maristasbilbao.com, it will give me more details. Okay, let's wait. It's loading. Okay, the domain is taken. Right, but here I've got not available, learn more, and we can take a look at the WHOIS information. And here I will see more details, right? WHOIS lookup. Okay, again, maristasbilbao.com. Okay, you see that sometimes I have to take a look through different places in order to be able to find what I want. Okay, but here I've got more information, right? So domain name maristasbilbao.com was created, okay, this date, this is the expiration date, right? And here I've got, okay, that for example, the registrar name. Okay, well, it is me, right? And the organization is our school. Here we've got, okay, the address, right? Here you see the telephone number, okay, who registered it, right? Who administers, okay, this domain? Okay, me and the school. Who is the tech contact? Okay, me and the school, right? Here I can see different pieces of information about who bought this domain, right? So that's it. Now we know what a domain is, okay, which is the structure of a domain, how can we buy a domain, and how can we know who bought a domain. Okay, we can know the information about the domain or about the domain which is already hired, right? So thank you.